Anyways, guys, welcome to the best Synchron Monsters in 2016. Now, to qualify for this list, it did have to come out in 2016. That means no Quasar, no Cipher, and Lord Omega, because those cards, granted they are good, they did not come out in 2016. So this is, of course, the 2016 list. Now, what you're seeing right here is not the actual top 10 list, because I wanted to also give shout outs to some other great cards in the game. But this list isn't just for the meta. We're going to be covering some other cards on this top 10 list that are more fan favorite oriented that you guys mentioned below. But anyways, you guys can see the chat over here on the right hand side. Of course, it's going to be filled with people that are trolling, so go ahead and enjoy. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So first off, really wanted to give a shout out to our Blackwing support, Hoya the Rainstorm. This card was a great card. It's a stepping stone to a lot of crazier plays that don't even really involve Blackwings. A lot of different decks can make great use of this deck just because it's just a great stepping stone, again, for some other variants of making Quasar and other great things in the game. Synchros are definitely one of the favorites amongst the fans in terms of things in the extra deck that we've gotten in the game. But next up, I also wanted to mention the Shiranui, the new Synchro Zombies. This got a little bit of hype, but unfortunately it wasn't a deck that a lot of people looked at to be a very, very competitive deck. But anyways, nonetheless, yeah, shoutouts to the Zombie Synchros. We also got an archetype that was revolved around synchroing, which was the Trons. Now the Trons, they came out, no one really wanted to play them. But nonetheless, there's still definitely a decent archetype if you want to have a little bit of fun with it once in a while. I think it can win against certain decks, but overall, it's not something that I would recommend for anyone that's interested in being a competitive player. But it's kind of cool to see some of the more interesting things that came out this year, and I wanted to give them a little shout out over here because there was only 33 Synchron Monsters that actually came out this year. Another really good card that I wanted to mention was Enlightenment Paladin. This card, very, very good card. Now, unfortunately, it's not versatile for every deck. True, every deck can kind of make it. It doesn't require anything specific to make it. But if you're not using a Pendulum Magician monster as material, then you're not going to get that effect to target a spell card in your graveyard and add it directly to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn, but it's got Demox effect essentially, and then when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can inflict damage to your opponent. Very, very strong card, definitely a noteworthy card. Now next up, Yugioh Defender. This card involves a crazy Quasar play where you can actually have Quasar attack a bunch of times. So I definitely think that this is a great card for any of you guys that are interested in doing some crazier plays. Again, Quasar is one of those fan favorite cards, and when you can make Quasar have multiple attacks and bring him out, I think a lot of people will like him. Buster Blader actually got a lot of support, and they got a Synchro, and I think a lot of people were excited that were more so collectors and fans of the card rather than being a competitive player. But nonetheless, Buster Dragon, really cool card, so wanted to also give Buster Dragon a shout out. Next up, Stardust Chronicle Spark Dragon. Really, really crazy name, really awesome artwork. Reminds me of like a golden Frieza. But this card, not the greatest effect, but I know some fans really like this card. So yeah, Stardust Chronicle Spark Dragon was also a noteworthy card, just to mention it. But it definitely doesn't deserve a top 10 spot. A lot of you guys mentioned it as well. Next up, we also got the Cardians, which was a deck that used a lot of really high-level monsters, and then you make some Synchros. Unfortunately, that deck didn't do too hot. It has a lot of draw power, and it can go through a lot of cards, but at the end of the day, it just doesn't really do too much. And then also, another Zombie Synchro, part of the Shiranui archetype that was really cool, was the Samurai Saga. Really cool card, and again, unfortunately, it was just out-power crept by a lot of different things. But one card that I think was an interesting card that came out this year was Vermillion Dragon Mech. Now this came out later in the year, but I feel like it's just outclassed by a lot of the things that we currently have in the game. Specifically, the level 9 Synchro that most of us will be going for is going to be Trishula. But nonetheless, once per turn you get to banish a tuner monster from your hand, field, or graveyard, and then target a card in the field and destroy it. Now Trishula, you get rid of 3 cards, 1 in hand, field, and then graveyard. This one, you get rid of 1 card in the field, and it has to destroy it. and it has to target it. That's where I feel like this card not necessarily as good. If it was once per turn during either player's turn, then it would be much better. But if this Synchro Summon card is destroyed by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target one of your banished tuners and add it back to your hand. So it does have technically a small advantage that normally you wouldn't have when you be playing a Trishula instead. But nonetheless, those were the noteworthy mentions. But of course, now let's go ahead and jump into the actual top 10 list. So these are in not really any specific order except for the top like 5, because some of them are more fan favorites and those we can't really gauge by how good they are in the game. But anyways, let's go ahead and get started. So at number 10, we've got DDD Gus King Alexander. Very great card. DDDs is a deck that I think is a little bit underrated. I think a lot of people can definitely make good use of this card in the DDD archetype, and I think that they'll be good in the future. It just all depends on the ban list, but really, really great card indeed. Another card that I thought was really cool, which was the Ultimate Vish Balkin. Really awesome card, and a lot of fans like this is more of one of those fan favorite cards, but definitely a noteworthy card. Now, Nirvana High Paladin also came out this year, a Synchro Pendulum. A lot of people were like, whoa, this is crazy, mind-blowing. Another one of those fan favorite cards. Definitely has a good effect, but it's not like you're going to be busting out those Nirvana High Paladins all the time. But I think it was definitely a noteworthy card to mention in our top 10 list. And again, there was only 33 Synchros that came out this year. Next up, we have Stardust, Cipher, Divine Dragon. Really, really decent card. Again, most of these cards are outclassed by Quasar, but nonetheless, it's a really cool looking card. Again, one of those fan favorite cards, and you know, pretty good to protect your cards. And then once per turn, when they activate a monster effect, get to negate it, and then destroy another card in the field. So you can negate a card, so that card's useless, and then get rid of something else. So you could argue in some circumstances this could be better than Quasar, but I think most of you guys would actually prefer going for Quasar instead of this. I don't know why every single time that we start playing some other song, it's supposed to be playing Guns the Duel on loops, but nonetheless, yeah, Stardust, Cipher, Divine Dragon is definitely one of those cards that I think a lot of fans definitely liked. And it's definitely a card where if you can make it in combination with a like Quasar, a lot of decks will just fold at Quasar, but if you can back it up with that card to protect your Quasar, you're going to be pretty much set to go and you'll be a-okay. But next up, we got a card over here, so Hoya. I guess we put it in there twice. It was so good. It was a noteworthy mention, plus we had to put it on the top 10 list. But nonetheless, yes, this card, it wasn't in the noteworthy mention. You guys didn't see that. This card is a stepping stone to so many Synchro decks. And of course, Synchro decks are, again, one of those fan favorite archetypes. Where you don't need to play a very specific like archetype. Synchros to some people is an archetype itself. We actually had a deck that wasn't an archetype. It was just like plant Synchro. You would just go ahead and retake. What? We threw it off. No, we're not retaking this. So Hoya, it's a great card. It definitely deserves a spot on this, hands down. Excellent card for Synchro decks. But next up, Stardust Charge Warrior. And some of you guys are like, what the heck is this thing? Okay, for any of you guys that don't actually play Synchros consistently, Stardust Charge Warrior is a very fantastic card because it lets you get on a card and it lets you draw, and that's actually really important. It also has another effect where this card can attack all special summon monsters your opponent controls once each. But more importantly, it's a stepping stone for Synchro decks because we only have one Librarian. Now, if you could post that double Librarians, then more than likely people wouldn't make this, but it is important that it is also level 6, so you can go ahead and level Eater it, so it can become a level 5, you'd have that additional draw, and therefore you're good to go on that. But very good card. One of the greatest level 6 Synchros that's not Goyo Guardian, even though Goyo Guardian is getting errated apparently here, in maybe 2017, I don't know when, but the thing is, Coral Dragon is an excellent card. It's just very simple. Brannick is banned. Who knows, maybe we'll get that errata, but Coral Dragon is definitely a viable card, even in 2016, even in 2017. Looking at what we have for level 6 Synchros right now in the game, this is definitely one of the greater Synchros that we have gotten in quite some time. Now the next one up, this one opens up a lot of unbreakable boards here at number 3, which is, I know it says Wang Tan Hu, but it's actually the Deadlong. That's actually the translation. But anyways, Deadlong is a great card. This card is special summon. You can add any Yangzing card. One of the Yangzing cards is basically you get to negate anything. And this card has a decent amount of defense too. 2800 is no laughing matter. But very great card. Next up we have Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon. This is also another support for the Blue Eyes archetype. And technically Blue Eyes did win Worlds. Really good stuff. But I mean, that ban list definitely did favor Blue Eyes. But nonetheless, it's not only a meta card, but it's also a fan favorite card. And it's an excellent card. But now, at our number 1 card, the best synchro that we've got in 2016 that came out in 2016, Crystalline Synchro Dragon. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys saw that coming, but I think that's inarguable. I think everyone will agree that Crystal Wing is definitely the best synchro monster that we got in 2016. But that's my list, as well as a lot of your guys' ideas incorporated, because obviously this was all live stream. You guys can see the chat on the left. But if you guys disagree with this list, let me know down below in that comment section below. You guys can go ahead and tell me your top 10 list of the best synchros that came out. And again, 2016, which means basically all of these cards that I'm just mousing over right now. It had to have came out in 2016. I wanted to mention this card over here. I couldn't do it though because Aro Mages just, they didn't do anything. And I really wanted them to. They were like cute girls, they were plants, and unfortunately, they just weren't that great. But nonetheless, that's my list. You guys can tell me some of the cards you felt like I maybe missed out on down below in the comment section below. But thanks for watching, guys, and I am signing out.